Hey everyone, I'm Sal Cincotta, and welcome to this week's 2-Minute Critique, where every week we take your images and critique them with one goal in mind: help you become a better photographer by learning from the mistakes of others. So let's get started with our first image. Let's see here. All right, clock is starting. All right, so I love this image, right? All these images are really good, but what could be better? And as we start looking at this, this feels like a snapshot. And so I'm not looking at it through the eyes of like, I have my iPhone out. I'm looking at it through the eyes of a professional. So what could we do to be better here? It's a lovely picture, I'm assuming, of a mother and her child here, and that's all fine, but we do have some issues here. If we zoom in, just this hair is a mess. And so you've got to fix that, right? These are the little details that make the difference between a good image and a great image, right? When we're first starting out, we're looking at things like exposure, and that's our happy place, right? Can we figure out exposure? Can we get those things right? Then it's composition. And then eventually, when you start figuring those things out, you've got to start looking at what's wrong. And so the trick I have for all of you is, after you make that image in the back of your camera, look at the back of your camera and be your worst critic. What could be better? That's the question you should be asking yourself. How can I make this image better? Hair. This is a perfect example of how we can make it better. Get this hair. It just looks sloppy. By the way, can we get a shout out to the baby on the stank face here? I mean, he is like on point with the stank face in this video. So in this image, I absolutely love it. He's like, yeah, what up? But we can fix this hair, all right? So that's number one. So let's zoom out here. Now, compositionally, I don't love this image. I only got 25 seconds left. I don't love this image, right? It's all this weird negative space. And don't get me wrong, I love negative space when it makes the image stronger. This is not making the image stronger. And so real simply, in Photoshop, look at this. All I'm gonna do is bring this down a little bit, make it a little bit more of a pano, put that third line across her face, so now she's in that third, or bring it down here to bring a little bit more balance to that shot. And look how immediately that becomes a lot stronger. So let me stop this timer. And we're going over 2 minutes. I know that this looks like you're probably a light and airy style photographer. Nothing wrong with that, right? So it's this kind of blown out, open, airy shot. I'm not going to get on you about that. That's fine. But I'm hoping you can see the difference between this and my eye gets lost up in the top part of this frame, right? We don't want to get lost up in here. Instead, we want to bring it down, and we can crop by doing that. And then one other thing, man. This stuff drives me nuts. Mom is pushing her hip in the camera. It's gonna make her look a little bit more heavy, change her stance. I know she's got the baby, but you're a professional. These are the things we have to do to make it a little bit better. All right, next image. I don't have anybody watching me today, so staying on 2 minutes is gonna be tough. All right, here we go. Clock starts. Love the image. Beautiful editing and toning. If you close your eyes and open it, it's a balance between going to the bright spot in the top left-hand corner and making my way to the couple, right? So it is a little bit of an issue getting there. So I'll make this a little bit smaller. It is a bit of an issue. I do like the image, right? Overall, it's this dramatic image. The bride and groom are sitting in the tree, but here's some of the things, right? So if we get here and we just start getting a little bit more critical, okay? Here's what I do like, okay? We've got this driving us kind of down and into them, and then in a sense a really strong object driving you out of frame, and they're looking out of frame, right? We can go and had them look the other way. Maybe that would have been better. But as we zoom in here, sorry, this is a low res image. As we zoom in here, listen, trust me, I get the level of difficulty of the shot. They're up in a freaking tree, right? And so I get the level of difficulty, but it doesn't change. We have to pay attention to some of those details. They're falling away from camera. They're up high, you're down low. The trick to that is to get them to lean in a little bit more, or you elevate yourself. I know you probably didn't have a ladder, or maybe you did, because for fuck's sake, how'd you get them up in the tree? But regardless, get them to lean down so we're not shooting up their nostrils. Our groom, I'm missing half his face. I would have liked to have seen his face open, right? He's like this. I would have liked to have seen him close down, open up to camera a little bit more and showed a little bit more connection. She's on the wrong hip. Okay, so she's on the hip away. So she's leaning away from him instead of switching her hip and leaning back into him. I think that would have made it a little bit stronger as well. And then my personal taste, I'm getting stuck right here. This gap, man, that gap can be filled in to have a little bit more, less distraction. All right, that was my 2 minutes. I'm going to do good here. Next image. All right, so here we go. Doesn't matter if it's a senior image, a portrait image, an artsy image. Here's the problem I have with this image right out of the gate. 3 strong vertical lines that are cutting this image up 3 different ways. So this becomes a problem to me. We've got 3 hard vertical lines. And you've got to remember, when you're making an image, you've already got, in a sense, compositionally, a vertical on your left and a vertical on your right. It's the end of frame, right? So the minute you put a vertical somewhere in the middle of the frame, you're kind of cutting this image into 2. So do this for me with your hand. Cover the right side of the image up and go from that middle tree branch over to the left. That's its own image. It's not really adding to this, right? It's a complete distraction. And if you want to see what I mean, if we come in here, I'm not happy with this image. I'm just hoping you can see by cropping in, I didn't make that image worse. I made it better, right? Because that left part of that image is useless. Oh, I didn't start my timer. That left part of the image is useless on the image, right? So this becomes a problem there. And so on the right side of the image, same problem here. So we could, in theory, right, if we just crop this a little bit from here and get rid of this guy here, come down here a little bit, put her in a third. I still don't love this image, but it's stronger, right? The tree on the right does not help. That tree on the left does not help. So hopefully you guys are seeing what I'm saying. And one last piece of feedback here, light control. Guys, we've got, this image just looks like we are slamming light into this scene, and where it's really distracting is here on this, and of course on this tree right here. These are actually a little bit brighter. This middle tree is a little bit brighter than our subject, so it's making it a little bit harder to get to her. This is an easy fix with some dodging and burning techniques to really burn that down, okay? So that's your fix. I'm gonna reset and get back on time here. All right, next image, last image. Starting my timer this time. All right, so here we go. This looks like a travel shot. I love travel photography. I do it all the time. I love putting pictures in my home. You know, people aren't going to always pay us for that. You've got to be like a huge, big name, have a gallery. But man, there's no better feeling in the world than having an image we created in our home. So how do we make this better? The problem with this image for me is everything is compressed to center. Everything is what we would call bullseye. So we've got it all right here in the center, right? And we have nothing on either side really compositionally leading us to that. It's just too heavy in the center. Yeah, we've got this, you know, horizontal horizon line, but that's about it, right? So what I'd rather see is us, you know, if we do this, check this out. Oops. Let's do a little Photoshop editing here. So if we get our tool here, right, and we just take them, now bear with me, and we were to just kind of move them over here, crop this, okay, you can see how, minus the giant white spot, you can see how now compositionally we've got a boat in the left-hand part of the frame, right? Assume this is going to be filled in with ocean. I'm not here to Photoshop for you. But now all you had to do was move over to the side, and that would have given you what you needed. But so that's what I'm trying to get across to you, is that you didn't just move to the side, and you would have had this now separation leading you from left to right, and now there's more of a story there, right? And if I'm being picky here, and I got 2 seconds left, I would have liked to see more foreground here with the ocean, right? So that would give us more waves in that foreground, give me a little bit less sky. Don't make it so perfectly centered. Give me, right, raise that, put it up in a third, lower it, move to the side. And this is a compositional problem, right? So I'm not critiquing what they're doing, any of that other stuff. Compositionally, you could have moved just a little and gotten a much better shot. That is it for this week's 2-minute critique. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned at least one thing. If you liked it, like our channel, comment below, and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.